There is a quiet power in the morning, a potential that waits for no one. Too often we rise with the sun, yet do not rise in spirit or purpose. The first hour of your day is not merely a stretch of time, it is the foundation upon which everything else rests. If you squander it, the rest of the day will inevitably reflect that neglect. But if you seize it, you can shape the day in your favor. The first habit begins simply with waking earlier than usual. Not to punish yourself, not to chase some rigid schedule, but to claim a moment of peace before the world demands your attention. In that early quiet, the mind is clear, the imagination untangled, and reflection becomes a natural act. Many successful lives are not built on grand moments alone, but on the discipline of showing up for oneself when the world sleeps. Rising early is less about the clock and more about intention, an acknowledgement that the day is yours to direct, not merely endure. The second habit flows naturally from the first, mindful planning. When you rise, do not dive immediately into tasks. Take a moment to observe, to list, to prioritize. Identify the one thing that, if accomplished today, will move you closer to your goals. The mind is most receptive in the early hours, when distraction has yet to gather its forces. To plan is not to constrain creativity. It is to give your energy direction. A list of priorities is not a burden, but a map through the chaos of daily demands. Even the smallest act of deciding, of committing, sends a subtle yet powerful message to yourself: this day matters, and so do you. Third, attention to body and mind cannot be overstated. A person who begins the day with lethargy or neglect carries that weight forward. Nourish your body with movement, however brief, a stretch, a walk, a few moments of deliberate breathing. Feed your mind with something that elevates a passage of reflection, a moment of gratitude, or even a brief visualization of the day's potential. There is a harmony between the physical and mental self. One cannot flourish without the other. Energy is not an abstract notion. It is cultivated in small, deliberate acts. Breakfast is not merely fuel. It is a statement that you value the vessel that will carry you through your responsibilities. The fourth habit is vigilance against morning traps. Social media, endless news scrolls, and trivial distractions present themselves as harmless companions, yet they drain focus and steal time silently. Begin your day intentionally. Do not allow the first moments to be dictated by someone else's priorities. If your attention is fractured at the start, it will be difficult to regain it. To live intentionally is to guard your mornings as a sacred resource, to distinguish between what is urgent and what is trivial, and to act deliberately rather than reactively. Finally, the fifth habit is reflection and gratitude, the often overlooked element that transforms mere routine into a powerful ritual. Take a moment to acknowledge your purpose, your opportunities, and even the challenges you face. Gratitude is not a luxury, it is a lens through which you perceive potential rather than limitation. Reflection grounds action in meaning. A day begun without acknowledgement of its value risks passing unnoticed. But when we pause even briefly to recognize what is significant, we empower ourselves to act with clarity, compassion, and resolve. The combination of these habits, rising early, planning mindfully, nurturing body and mind, avoiding distractions, and reflecting with gratitude, turns a simple morning into a platform for triumph. Every day begins with a choice to drift, to react, or to command the hours given to you. To command them is not to impose harshness upon yourself, but to engage life intentionally, to honor the fleeting gift of time, and to align your actions with your deepest aspirations. The mornings you reclaim are not merely hours, they are the architecture of a life well lived. The power of early rising is far more than a habit. It is the foundation of a disciplined and purposeful life. Waking early is not merely about moving the hands of the clock or conforming to a schedule imposed by society. It is an intentional act, a declaration that the day ahead belongs to you and not to the endless demands, interruptions, and distractions that will inevitably arrive. When you rise early, you are gifted with a period of quiet before the world asserts its noise, a time when the mind is free from obligations and clarity is at its peak. In these moments, Thoughts are less clouded by stress and urgency, and the imagination can stretch without limits. There is a profound psychological advantage to this practice. Waking early signals to your mind and body that you are prepared to engage life with awareness and deliberation. It creates a sense of control over time, and control over time is control over life itself. People who cultivate this habit often notice that their productivity is not measured merely in tasks completed, but in the quality of focus and the depth of insight they achieve. The early hours allow one to think ahead, to plan for potential obstacles, and to envision solutions with a calm and undisturbed mind. The discipline of rising early is intertwined with intention. Without intention, waking early becomes a mechanical act, devoid of purpose and easily abandoned when comfort or temptation calls. Intention transforms early rising from a simple schedule into a statement of priorities. By choosing to awaken before the world fully stirs, you are making a choice to dedicate yourself to reflection, to preparation, and to the pursuit of meaningful goals. It is in this quiet period that one can evaluate priorities, set intentions for the day, and mentally rehearse actions that will lead to progress. The psychological impact is significant because it frames the rest of the day within a context of mindfulness and deliberate action rather than reaction to external pressures. Individuals who begin their days in this way often find themselves calmer, more resilient, and better able to handle unexpected challenges. This practice is not about perfection. It is about creating a window of time where you can act with clarity rather than haste, where the mind is not yet pulled in 100 directions. Moreover, early rising cultivates a profound sense of self-respect and self-discipline. It is easy to remain in bed, to postpone obligations, and to drift into a reactive state where time is stolen by distractions. Choosing to rise early is a conscious refusal to surrender to inertia, a small but significant act of self-mastery. When you consistently show up for yourself in the morning, you reinforce the belief that your goals and your time are valuable. This habit also builds momentum that carries through the day, establishing a rhythm of proactive engagement rather than passive drift. The psychological and physical benefits are supported by countless examples of people who attribute their achievements to the consistent practice of early rising. Waking early allows for uninterrupted personal time, time to read, to write, to exercise, or to meditate, which nourishes both mind and body. It is during these hours that creativity often flourishes, free from the pressure of immediate demands, allowing for ideas and solutions to emerge organically. There is also a spiritual and reflective dimension to early rising. In the quiet of the morning, when the rest of the world sleeps, one can cultivate awareness, gratitude, and intentionality. This is a time for inward focus, for clarifying purpose, and for aligning one's actions with higher principles. Many find that this practice of quiet reflection fosters resilience, emotional intelligence, and a grounded perspective. The act of waking early signals that life is not to be passively endured, but actively directed. It trains the mind to embrace discomfort, the discomfort of leaving warmth and ease behind in order to claim the day. And this discipline strengthens character over time. People who adopt early rising report a heightened sense of agency, as though they have been granted extra hours in which to achieve, to grow, and to refine themselves before external pressures demand their attention. Ultimately, the habit of early rising is a tool for mastery over one's life. It is the difference between responding to circumstances and creating circumstances. Those who embrace it recognize that time is the most valuable resource they possess, and that how one begins the day influences the trajectory of every hour that follows. It is in the stillness of the morning that the seeds of focus, discipline, and purposeful action are sown. Rising early is not simply a matter of schedule, it is an exercise in self-respect, clarity, and intentional living. By claiming the first hours of the day, a person gains the rare advantage of space and quiet, the ability to think deeply, plan wisely, and act decisively. Over time, this habit transforms the ordinary morning into a launchpad for achievement, character development, and meaningful progress, creating a foundation upon which the entire life can flourish. Mindful planning is the act of approaching each day with intention and clarity, recognizing that without guidance, time drifts and energy is wasted on what is trivial rather than what is important. It is not merely a matter of creating a to-do list. It is the deliberate process of identifying priorities, understanding their relative significance, and allocating attention and effort where it truly matters. The mind is a powerful tool, but left to its own devices in the morning, it often succumbs to distractions, habits, and the urgency of minor matters. Planning mindfully allows one to harness mental energy rather than scatter it, transforming the first moments of the day into a period of strategic advantage. When you take the time to visualize the day ahead, to sequence tasks based on importance rather than immediacy, and to anticipate obstacles, you create a mental roadmap that keeps you focused and purposeful. This is a discipline of the mind, a practice of steering thought and intention, ensuring that actions align with long-term goals rather than reactive impulses. It is in the morning, when the mind is least fatigued, that planning yields the greatest returns, because clarity is at its peak and decisions are not clouded by the fatigue and pressures that accumulate as the day progresses. Mindful planning begins with reflection, assessing what truly matters and what can be deferred or ignored. It is the recognition that not all tasks are equal, that some hold greater weight in shaping the trajectory of one's life. By prioritizing wisely, a person ensures that energy is devoted to meaningful work rather than urgent but insignificant distractions. This requires honesty with oneself, a willingness to confront habits of procrastination, and the courage to decide which commitments deserve attention. Planning is also an act of empowerment. It transforms the individual from a passive responder to the events of the day into an active architect of experience. By setting clear intentions, one reduces the friction of indecision, the stress of uncertainty, and the wasted hours of scattered effort. The mind is like a compass without conscious direction. It drifts aimlessly, responding only to immediate stimuli. Mindful planning recalibrates this compass, aligning thought, intention, and action toward a coherent purpose. A key aspect of mindful planning is the cultivation of focus. Modern life presents countless distractions, from notifications to obligations that demand immediate attention yet yield little long-term value. Without a plan, the day is surrendered to these distractions, leaving little room for growth, reflection, or accomplishment. When the morning is dedicated to thoughtful prioritization, the individual gains the ability to filter inputs, to distinguish between what is essential and what is superfluous, and to act deliberately rather than reactively. This is not rigid control, it is flexible direction, a framework that allows for adjustment while maintaining alignment with overarching goals. By beginning the day with a clear sense of purpose, one establishes a rhythm that encourages sustained focus, reduces stress, and increases efficiency. Planning is a proactive shield against chaos, providing a structure that supports calm, confident, and productive action. Mindful planning also strengthens decision-making and resilience. When the mind is prepared with clear priorities, one navigates challenges more effectively, responding to unexpected obstacles with calm and rational judgment rather than panic or frustration. The act of planning in the morning is not a guarantee that difficulties will not arise, but it equips the individual with foresight and clarity that make responses more deliberate and effective. Furthermore, the process of mapping out the day enhances awareness of time as a limited and valuable resource. Each moment becomes a conscious choice where to focus, how to act, and what to invest energy in. Mindful planning cultivates a sense of agency, the understanding that one has control over actions and outcomes, even when circumstances are unpredictable. This sense of control is profoundly motivating because it transforms the individual from a passive participant in life to an active driver of progress. Finally, mindful planning fosters balance and intentionality across all areas of life. By taking time to consider not only professional or academic obligations but also personal growth, relationships, health, and reflection, A person ensures that the day is harmonized with long-term values and goals. It is a practice of integrating purpose into action, creating coherence between aspiration and behavior. Each task is not just something to be done, it becomes a building block of meaningful progress. The discipline of planning mindfully is an education of the mind, teaching awareness, prioritization, focus, and resilience. Through this practice, mornings are transformed from chaotic beginnings into deliberate launches of action, setting a tone of clarity, purpose, and momentum that carries through every hour of the day. The small investment of time in the morning yields disproportionate returns in effectiveness, satisfaction, and achievement, proving that the way we begin the day shapes not only the hours that follow, but the trajectory of life itself. Nourishing the body and mind in the morning is not merely a routine. It is the act of preparing oneself for the demands, challenges, and opportunities that lie ahead. The state in which you begin the day determines the quality of every action, decision, and thought that follows. When the body is neglected or left in a state of fatigue, even the most carefully planned day can falter. Likewise, a mind that is cluttered, distracted, or unstimulated will struggle to maintain focus, creativity, and resilience. Nourishment in this sense is both physical and mental, encompassing diet, movement, and the intentional cultivation of thought. The first moments after waking provide a unique window in which the body is receptive and the mind is most flexible. What you feed your body and how you engage your mind during this period sets the tone for energy levels, clarity, and emotional stability throughout the day. A brief stretch, a walk, or a series of gentle exercises primes the body, stimulating circulation, activating muscles, and signaling to the nervous system that activity and alertness are required. Physical movement, even for a few minutes, enhances mood, reduces stress, and improves cognitive function, creating a foundation for sustained productivity. Equally important is the fuel that you provide to the body through nutrition. The morning meal should be viewed not as a ritual to simply stave off hunger, but as an investment in performance, endurance, and vitality. Consuming foods rich in nutrients, such as proteins, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats, ensures a steady supply of energy rather than the spikes and crashes that result from sugar-laden or processed alternatives. Hydration is also critical, as the body emerges from hours of fasting and requires replenishment to maintain optimal function. A nourished body supports a nourished mind, enabling focus, clarity, and resilience in the face of challenges. Those who underestimate the connection between physical and mental states often find that even minor tasks feel exhausting or overwhelming, while those who consistently prepare themselves physically experience a profound increase in capability and efficiency. Mental nourishment is equally essential. The mind, like the body, thrives when given deliberate input that is uplifting, challenging, and constructive. Engaging with ideas, reflections, or motivational readings in the morning primes the intellect, strengthens reasoning, and cultivates emotional stability. This practice can be as simple as journaling, reading a thought-provoking passage, or spending a few minutes in meditation or contemplation. Such activities encourage a state of awareness, fostering clarity of thought, emotional balance, and a heightened sense of purpose. They create a mental environment in which focus is strengthened and distraction is minimized. When the mind is nourished intentionally, it is equipped to handle decisions, problem solving, and interpersonal interactions with calmness and insight, rather than impulsivity or reactivity. The combination of physical and mental nourishment is synergistic. Movement and nutrition fuel the body, while reflective practices fuel the mind, creating a balanced state in which energy, focus, and motivation are aligned. This harmony ensures that when the day begins in earnest, one can act with both efficiency and wisdom. Neglecting either aspect diminishes overall capacity. A healthy body without mental engagement leads to mechanical action without insight, while an active mind in a fatigued body results in frustration, distraction, and reduced resilience. Intentional care for both body and mind in the morning cultivates a sense of self, respect, and empowerment, reinforcing the understanding that one's time and energy are valuable and deserving of deliberate investment. Furthermore, nourishing the body and mind enhances long-term well-being and performance. Over time, consistent habits in the morning produce cumulative benefits, from improved physical health and energy levels to greater cognitive function, emotional resilience, and psychological stability. It is during these early hours that habits are most easily established, because the mind is less burdened by stress and distraction. By treating the morning as a sacred period for preparation and nourishment, one creates a foundation for consistent achievement and personal growth. This practice also strengthens the ability to respond to challenges calmly, maintain focus under pressure, and approach daily tasks with a sense of purpose and competence. The nourishment of body and mind is therefore not a luxury. It is a practical strategy for living intentionally, maximizing potential, and ensuring that every action taken throughout the day is supported by both energy and clarity. In conclusion, the practice of nourishing both body and mind transforms the morning from a passive period into an active launch pad for success. It is the deliberate combination of movement, nutrition, and mental engagement that equips a person to meet the demands of the day with resilience, focus, and determination. By dedicating the first hours to self-care, one invests in the most valuable resource available, personal capability. Those who embrace this practice consistently find that energy is sustained, decisions are clearer, and productivity is heightened. The act of nourishing the body and mind is a statement of self-respect, an acknowledgement of potential, and a commitment to living each day with intentionality and purpose. Avoiding morning traps is an essential practice for anyone seeking to gain control over their day and achieve meaningful progress. The first hours after waking are a period of high potential, a window in which focus, energy, and intention are at their peak. Yet this same period is vulnerable to the subtle and persistent distractions that infiltrate modern life. Social media notifications, endless streams of messages, news alerts, and the compulsion to check devices lure the mind into reactive behavior before any deliberate action has been taken. These morning traps may seem harmless, even enjoyable, but their cumulative effect is the erosion of attention, a loss of time, and the gradual weakening of discipline. To begin the day effectively, it is necessary to recognize these traps and actively choose to resist them. Awareness alone is not enough. It must be paired with practical strategies that protect the integrity of the morning and preserve the clarity, focus, and energy that allow one to act with purpose. The danger of morning traps lies not only in the time they consume, but also in their effect on mental and emotional states. Starting the day by immersing oneself in the lives, opinions, and demands of others creates a reactive mindset rather than a proactive one. Attention is scattered, and priorities are determined by external forces rather than internal intention. This results in fatigue, stress, and a sense of having been busy without accomplishing what truly matters. The mind, when engaged first with trivial or distracting stimuli, loses its capacity to think clearly, to set priorities, and to engage with tasks that require creativity, discipline, or critical thinking. In contrast, a morning free from these interruptions allows the mind to settle, to focus, and to act strategically. It is during this period that habits of intentionality, planning, and productivity are most effectively cultivated. Recognizing the value of this time is crucial because once it is surrendered to distractions, the day often unfolds in a fragmented, reactive manner. Avoiding morning traps also requires the deliberate establishment of routines that redirect attention toward meaningful activity. Simple actions, such as delaying the first use of a phone, organizing tasks before engaging with notifications, or dedicating time to reflection or exercise, serve as barriers against distraction. These routines do not eliminate responsibility or engagement with the world, but instead ensure that interaction occurs on one's own terms rather than under the influence of immediate external pressures. By prioritizing high-value activities first, one creates momentum, a sense of accomplishment, and clarity that carries throughout the day. This discipline strengthens self-control enhances focus, and reduces the cumulative stress that arises when attention is continuously pulled in multiple directions. Furthermore, avoiding morning traps cultivates a mindset of intentionality that extends beyond the morning itself. The decision to act deliberately rather than reactively is a practice of self-respect, a recognition that time is precious and should not be surrendered lightly. Each morning presents a choice to allow the day to be dictated by distractions or to claim it through conscious action. The habit of resisting trivial interruptions reinforces a broader ability to prioritize, make decisions with clarity, and invest energy in tasks that yield meaningful results. This discipline has a ripple effect, influencing productivity, emotional stability, and long-term success. By controlling the morning, one sets a precedent for how attention and effort will be allocated throughout the day. The psychological impact of avoiding morning traps is profound. When the mind is not immediately hijacked by trivial stimuli, it is more capable of focus, reflection, and creative thinking. Mental energy is preserved for activities that require deliberation, problem solving, and innovation rather than being dissipated on ephemeral distractions. Over time, this practice strengthens the ability to concentrate, reduces feelings of overwhelm, and enhances resilience in the face of challenges. Individuals who cultivate this habit report greater satisfaction with their accomplishments, a deeper sense of control over their lives, and an increased ability to act consistently toward their goals. Avoiding morning traps is therefore not a matter of denial or austerity, but of strategic allocation of attention. It is the act of valuing time, energy, and potential by creating a protective structure around the most critical period of the day. By consciously avoiding morning traps, a person develops the capacity to act with purpose, prioritize effectively, and maintain clarity throughout the day. It is a practice that transforms the morning from a period of susceptibility into a launch pad for intentional action. The discipline of resisting distraction ensures that the first hours are used for reflection, planning, nourishment, and preparation rather than reactive engagement with external demands. This habit not only improves daily productivity, but also cultivates long-term skills in focus, self-control, and effective decision-making. By claiming the morning, an individual gains the advantage of starting the day proactively, setting the tone for the hours that follow, and ultimately creating a life in which energy, attention, and intention are aligned with meaningful goals. Avoiding morning traps is an investment in clarity, purpose, and mastery over one's own time, demonstrating that the way we begin the day shapes not only the hours that follow, but the trajectory of our lives.